I'll give a quick recap of the situation before I dive into it. In case you missed it the other day, Dominic Raiola, father of Dylan Raiola, former NFL offensive lineman, former Nebraska offensive lineman. So he knows some people. Dominic Raiola claimed that Kirk, he went on someone's podcast or something, but it was a clip that circulated all over social media as things aggregate. And he goes on social media and he says that Kirk Herbstreit is one of the people that influenced him, that encouraged Dylan Raiola to flip to Nebraska. He claims that Kirk Herbstreit, that they were on the phone during the heat of, is Dylan Raiola going to leave? Is he really going to decommit from Georgia and go to Nebraska? Is this really happening? During that period, he claimed that Kirk Herbstreit told him, hey, look, he's got to do it. He's got to do this thing. So Kirk Herbstreit, a couple of days later, finally answers after people kind of got enraged about that, and people have been kind of iffy on the Dylan Raiola situation, right? Some people are really upset about the flip. Some people aren't. If Georgia didn't have another quarterback in this class, I bet everyone would be upset about the situation. Maybe Raiola wouldn't have flipped to Nebraska if that was the case. But now Kirk Herbstreit, he goes on Feinbaum's show to clear the air a little bit, or maybe that's not why he went on there, but he went on there, and clearing the air is one of the things that he did, and he basically said that that's ridiculous. I've got it jotted down, but he said, if I'm guilty of anything, I said that Matt Rule is a good coach and he's a good man. I believe he will bring Nebraska back, and that he said that the notion of encouraging someone not to go to Georgia, to go to a program that hasn't been competing for national championships compared to a program like Georgia that's won 2 national championships in the last couple of years, that's competed for more than that in this stretch. He said that it's just ridiculous that he would recommend that. So he also claimed, look, Dominic Raiola, this is, I almost can't believe I'm talking about this on here. He claimed that, I feel like I'm just gossiping, Dominic Raiola, kind of made it seem like Herbstreit and he were really good friends, and then Herbstreit goes on Feinbaum and says, yeah, I've known him for a while, but it's not exactly what it is. And I'm just looking at all these tweets. This is from Pat Ford. Something that he said. I'll read that real quick to you. What Pat Ford said that Herbstreit texted him after this. This whole thing is making me laugh. Ryan Kelly from Dawg Post here. Real quick, I just want to plug our newsletter. I'm linking it in the description down below. I will start writing more myself. I haven't been writing that much on dogpost.com, as Dean pointed out to me today over text. Angry text. So I'll be writing more. But look, we push out free premium insider stories. You want to hear my opinion in written form? I'm not that bad of a writer. You want insider recruiting updates from Matt DeBerry? You want what we're hearing from Dean Legge? You want Legge's thoughts? All of that gets shoved into your inbox every single day, so you don't miss it, so you don't miss out on what the latest is with the Georgia Bulldogs. So make sure you're checking that out down below. This is what Pat Ford tweeted that Herbstreit texted him. All I did was compliment who Matt is when Dom asked me what I thought of his ability to build a program. Had no idea before or after what he was thinking or what he might do. Just simply answered a question. Respect Matt and what he will build, but obviously would never turn anyone away from Kirby and UGA. So in multiple occasions, Kirk Herbstreit is talking about how he would never basically deter someone from going to Georgia. I don't think that Kirk Herbstreit would just go on here and make things up. I'd like to I've met Kirk. I'd like to think that he's genuine enough to not just lie about a situation like this. And I'm not going to call Dominic Riola a liar either. Never met Dominic Riola. Not going to call Dominic a liar either. I do think quarterback parents are a little bit extra. I don't know if there's a better way to put it, but look, and maybe you're a QB parent, or you know a QB parent, and you're the QB parent of the number one player in the country at one point, right? I don't think he ended up as number one player. Jeremiah Smith did on a lot of people's boards, the wide receiver was going to Ohio State. But when you got a 5-star quarterback, right, things happen. Parents parents are never the best source either, right? Sometimes they can be, but I'm not going to speculate anything about Dominic Raiola. That's a little bit more of a general statement. I do think it's interesting you kind of have to pose the question, is part of this Kirk Herbstreit maybe trying to put out a little bit of a fire here with kind of doubling down over Twitter, over those texts, over the Paul Feinbaum show, not Georgia, right? Because now the allegation is a huge stretch for it, but the accusation is that from a lot of Georgia fans is that he doesn't like Georgia. Maybe he doesn't like Georgia. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way, and sometimes it really doesn't seem like, I don't know, ESPN. Right? I quote ESPN because it's not. I'm not talking about their entity necessarily as much as the people that work for them. It does seem like sometimes Georgia gets a little bit less love than it should. Obviously, being the media member that I am, is close to the situation and covering Georgia in a very specific way that I do. Obviously, I don't cover other teams in this depth. I do cover college football in general, but not in the depth of Georgia. I'm always going to be a little higher on Georgia than national people for the most part, and I actually like to think, look, I know the rest of the Georgia beat reporters, and you guys probably watch and listen to them too. I'd like to think I'm one of the most level-headed people that covers Georgia. I'm just putting that out there. I think that's probably true. I'd like to think I'm one of the most level-headed and kind of just see things for the way they are. But I do think that some of these ESPN guys are just a little low, and I don't know. Is it, I'm surprised the Alabama fatigue never went away. And now it probably will be gone. But you get Nick Saban working for ESPN. I wonder what that's going to stir up, what kind of narratives that's going to stir up. I'm very interested to see what his role is there. A little bit off topic. Back to more specifically Herbstreit and the Riolas. Look, I don't think that. It'd be dumb. Give me a second here because I was gonna curse and I was gonna say some stuff. So let me collect myself for a second because I want to be a little more professional. It makes zero sense to me. It makes zero sense to me, the Riola choosing Nebraska. I mean, I don't think we'll ever know the full story. How many dollars and cents were what is the percentage breakdown of what made your decision? Can we put it in a pie chart? How much of it was money? How much of it was, the need for Nebraska, the need to fulfill a legacy there? How much of it was not wanting to compete for the job at Georgia? Was that any of it? I don't know. But when you have a chance to go to Georgia, you have a chance to go to the NFL. And I know that is what almost every single college football player's goal is to make it to the NFL. And Georgia's an NFL factory right now. I made a video where I talked about that. So to me, it really doesn't make sense going to Nebraska. He's going to start immediately, most likely. He's going to be the guy, but he's not going to have the tools around him that he would have at Georgia. And look at Carson Beck. Waiting 3 years, buying Lamborghinis, throwing for 4,000 yards. Patience helped get him to where he is in his little Lamborghini Urus, right? And possibly a top 10 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Those are the things that Carson Beck waited for and competed for. And you got to do it on a bigger stage at Georgia. So to me, the flip really doesn't make a lot of sense from a football standpoint. It just doesn't. I went over to Buford. We went and covered this thing hard. We thought he was a big deal. Dylan Raiola's recruitment is a big deal, and obviously it still is if we're still talking about it, and some of you probably don't want to hear about it, but his arm is sick. He's a good quarterback. I think he'll be good in college. I don't know how good he's going to be, but I think he's got what you need. He's got what you need to be an elite quarterback. That's all I'll say. We don't really know if he's going to be an elite quarterback or not. You can't know. You just can't, and that's the nature of this thing. It resets in middle school, it resets in high school, it resets in college, it resets in the pros, and then it's you got to fight for your spot again. So we'll see what Dylan Raiola is, but I think that Kirk Herbstreit putting out a little bit of a fire here, also probably telling the truth, but that's the latest update with the Kirk Herbstreit and the Raiola drama over the last couple weeks. It's clearly the offseason, right? It's clearly February 9th. I am dying for spring ball to come soon. But hopefully you stick with us here over the next few weeks during this off-season period. Thanks for watching.